Okay, teammates. So today we are furthering our knowledge of algebraic expressions by translating complex algebraic expressions with variables and grouping symbols. So today, order and our operation words are going to be extremely important. That's why we have been practicing marking up our text and identifying those operation words and the words that indicate if we're going to use a variable. As I go through these two examples, I want you to watch how I mark up my text, and then I want you to listen for how I justify what symbols I'm going to use when I write my algebraic expressions. All right, looking at this first question, it says, write an algebraic expression to represent each verbal phrase. So the first thing I need to do is mark up my text. So I'm going to read part A. So the sum of a number and 7 decreased by 5. I know that I am underlining words that indicate my operations. Remember, my operations are addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I see the phrase a number. I know that if I see a phrase a number, that indicates I'm going to use a variable, so a letter that represents an unknown value. And 7 decreased by 5. Okay, so now I'm going to use the way that I marked up my text to inform what symbols I need to use when I write my algebraic expression. So off to the side, I'm going to write the expression. So I know that I have the sum of a number and 7. Okay, so if I want to show an addition problem of a number and 7, I'm going to pick a variable to represent this unknown number. So I'm going to pick the variable x. So I'm going to say x plus 7 decreased by 5. I know that decreased means subtraction, so I need to make sure that I am taking 5 away from this sum. So the sum of a number and 7 decreased by 5. Yep, I don't have the word less than or the phrase less than, so I know I don't have to use my switch rule. So I'm just going to subtract 5. If you refer back to our do now, we refreshed our memories on the order of operations. I don't need any grouping symbols here because if I follow the order of operations, I have to solve the addition before the subtraction. So no matter what, I'll still be decreasing the sum of that number and 7 by 5. All right, let's look at part B. A number. Okay, so again, I circle a number less than, this sounds familiar, 10 times W. Okay, so I know the phrase a number indicates that I need to pick a variable. I also see that I have the variable W given to me. It does not say that these variables are going to be the same, so I'm going to pick a different letter to represent this first number. So I'm going to use Z. Just going to write Z here to remind myself. So a number less than 10 times W. I know that based on the switch rule that we learned last week, if I see the phrase less than, I know that the order of my terms is going to switch when I write out the algebraic expression. So that means a number less than 10 times W, I know that the end of my algebraic expression is going to be this subtraction of this number. Okay, because I know less than means subtraction. Okay, so a number, we're saying Z, less than 10 times W. If I want to show that I am multiplying a number by a variable, this is when I get to write them side by side. because now I have a coefficient of 10 and a variable of w, and I know when a coefficient and variable are right next to each other, that indicates multiplication. So now this says a number less than 10 times w. All right, let's look at part C. The product of 3 and 5/6 and the difference of a number and 11. Okay, so product indicates that we're going to be doing multiplication. Difference indicates we're going to be doing subtraction. And then the phrase a number indicates that we're going to be using a variable. So I'm just going to pick the variable n. Okay, so the product of 3 and 5/6 and the difference of a number and 11. Okay, so now I have to think critically. If I'm going to find the product, meaning I'm going to multiply this mixed number by the difference of a number and 11, I need to first find what the difference of that number and 11 is before I can multiply it by 3 and 5/6. So if I want to ensure that something is done first based on the order of operations, I need to make sure, if we're going off PEMDAS, I need to make sure that I have parentheses. So I'm going to first put in parentheses the difference of a number and 11. So the difference means subtraction. The difference of a number, we said we're going to use n to represent that. And 11, I know it's n minus 11 because of the order that it's shown in my number sentence. So I know if I find the difference of n minus 11, then I can find the product of that answer times 3 and 5/6. So the simplest way for us to write this with the least amount of added symbols is to just write our mixed number out front, because when you have a number right next to a grouping symbol, that means we are going to multiply. And finally, let's look at part D. The sum of 12 and n, so it gives us this variable, divided by 12 fewer than x. Okay, this one's a doozy. There's lots in there, but this is why we mark up our text. So the sum indicates we're going to be doing addition. So the sum of 12 and n divided by 12 fewer than x. Okay, so I see that fewer than, this section is going to apply to the switch rule, but I'm going to worry about the beginning of this number sentence first. So the sum of 12 and n, so 12 plus n, divided by, so you can either put the division symbol, but one way you guys will see a lot is a fraction bar. So 12 plus n, and then the fraction bar tells me that I'm dividing. Okay, so then divided by 12 fewer than x. So the switch rule tells me that those terms are going to switch order. So it's really going to be x minus 12 because this shows 12 fewer than x. And that is my final answer for that algebraic expression. Okay, teammates. Now we're going to use all of the knowledge that we gained in practice in that first problem to now use our skill of eliminating answers in a multiple choice question. So this example says circle all expressions. Okay, so all, meaning it might not just be one correct answer, there could be multiple, that are equivalent to the description below. Okay, so we're looking at this description. 1/2 of the sum of 12 and w. So half the sum of 12 and w. If I want to find half of the sum, this can mean two things. If I want to say half of a number, I could say 1/2 x. So this is 1/2 times that number. Or I can say that number divided by 2. So keeping this in mind, we know that both of these, the way that they are written, could be possible options. So now I need to look at my answer choices off to the left and decide which ones make sense and which ones do not. So the first thing I'm going to do is eliminate any that are absolutely wrong right off the bat. I know that I'm going to be looking for addition, and I know I'm going to be looking for division. Okay, so the sum of 12 and W, and we're finding half of it. So you could be multiplying by 1/2, or you could be dividing by 2. I noticed that I could potentially have multiplication, division, and addition, but that means I will not have subtraction at all. So I'm going to ask myself, do any of these answer choices have subtraction in them? If so, I can eliminate those choices right now. So I see choice A has subtraction, and then I see E has subtraction. Okay, so now I'm going to ask myself, I need to find half of the sum of 12 and W. So that means I have to find that sum before I can do anything else. So that means 12 plus W has to be in parentheses or clearly stated that it is going to be done first. So I look at all of these. I see this is in a fraction bar, so that does tell me that I would be doing that first, so I can't eliminate anything based off of that. So now I'm going to focus on the fact that I know finding half of something can either be multiplying by 1/2 or dividing by 2. So I need to look and see if there are any that are dividing by anything besides 2. I see part D is dividing by 1/2. That's not what I want. I want to multiply by 1/2. Okay, choice B, I'm multiplying by 1/2, so that's okay. In choice C, I'm dividing by 2, so that's okay. And choice F, I have the sum of 12 and W divided by 2, so that is also okay. And notice that I can circle all the expressions that are equivalent. So in this case, I have 3. Choice B, which says 1/2 times the sum of 12 plus W. Choice C, which is 12 plus W, and then you're dividing it by 2 because you want to find half of it. And then same with choice F. As you go through your independent practice and exit ticket problems, I should see you marking up your text in order to properly identify from multiple choice questions or to properly write your own algebraic expressions.